It means that at the regional levels, including Greater Accra, we are able to raise 92%, 92.86. That's 92.86 or 86% of the revenue. And the other tax types also add on to the 100%. Now, the next slide. Yeah, we tried looking at doing some small analysis to show or to see clearly what the regional collections look like. Now, we have an office we refer to as Large Taxpayers Office that has about 666 taxpayers. And these are the large companies that we have in Ghana. That's where their files are, and that's where they made their payments. Now, some of these companies have their offices scattered throughout the whole country. So when we are saying they pay their tax, they pay because their head office is in Accra, they pay their taxes in Accra, and that one forms part of Greater Accra collection. So we decided that we'll take that one out, and then we have another office that takes care of the public sector, like Controller, the ministries, and the rest. And that one too, because they look at the whole country, we try to isolate the collections from there so that we see the actual collections that come from the regions. So remove the Large Taxpayers Office contribution and the Kimbu Office contribution, that is the public sector contribution, from the collection, so that they will have equal level comparison between the regions. So when we did that, the performance showed this trend. Greater Accra still contributed 60%, 60.28% of the revenue. And the Ashanti region contributed 4.42%. And Western region contributed 5.02%. And the other regions follow. I think if you check on the screen, you can see what is happening. So without the large companies, the banks, the mining centers, the other big companies, if you remove them from it, it means that still Greater Accra is giving us 60% of the tax revenue. And what is surprising, I must draw your attention, is as the size of our Greater Kumasi or Greater Ashanti region. Looking at the economic activities in the country, we can see that when you remove Greater Accra from it, the next town or the next city is Ashanti region. That is supposed to give us the next highest tax revenue. But the trend of performance is not showing that. Takoradi is exceeding the revenue when we compare at the regional levels like that with Ashanti region. So there are a lot of things we need to do to improve. In fact, previously it wasn't like that. Ashanti region was directly following Greater Accra, but this trend has changed. So there are a lot of things GRA has put on the ground to help resolve these issues. And a few of them I'll mention for you to take note of is one, that's the next slide, is to leverage third-party data to enhance compliance. Here, what we are trying to do is to ensure that we link our database to DBRA, to SNIT, to ECG, and all organizations that are dealing with companies and individuals, so that at least we can capture whatever activity, business activities, economic activities people are doing, and to be able to take the necessary tax revenues from them. Then there is this optimization, the optimized domestic tax collection operations through digitalization. We are trying to ensure that instead of people walking to GRA offices to file and pay and do all tax transactions, wasting people's precious time, we go into digitalization processes to enhance compliance measures, to strengthen the tax administration, and also to ease doing business in Ghana. Now, another thing we are doing, I think you have heard about that one, that's the linking of taxpayers' identification number to the Ghana card, so that at any point in time, when you get into your Ghana card number, anywhere. We can identify you to see the type of business you are doing, the tax payments you are making, and all the things that you are doing, economic activities that you are doing in the country. So that the little that you have to pay to support the government will be able to collect the revenue. In fact, in Ghana, the informal sector is so large, and that's what is causing housing numbers are very difficult to come by, location of businesses are very difficult to come by, and people who are doing even their business online, it's so difficult to be able to get them to tax. And by that, what we are doing is that after linking the next slide, please, the national ID to the TIN, that's taxpayers identification number. Some few information has now come out. We have been able to identify a whole number of people who are not having taxpayers identification number. Now, so I think that will be the next slide. I'll come back to this one. Please go to the next slide. Now, so far, when we link to the Ghana card, 14.7 million Ghana card numbers have been so far been identified. And out of this, in terms of age, between 18 and 35, we have 7 million people. Between 35 and 65, we have 6.5, and above 65, if you get it, I think you can see, I can also not see from here, sorry for that. Above 65, I think we have about 1,477. No, it's 1 million, yeah. So, age classification of the data that we have in Ghana has been discovered. And out of this, we are looking at the occupations that they are doing. And that's when we went into that one too, we saw that non-salary earners, those who are not getting income at all, they are about 2,400. That's a 2.4 million. And then those low and middle income earners, that's about 12 million. And the high income earners are just about 61 million. So altogether gives us the 14.6 million. Is it 1,000? Yeah, okay, maybe I'm wrong. It's 1,000. I'm not seeing the indicators probably. Okay. So out of these 14, this number that we are talking about, what we have seen is that the analysis showed us that we have about 5,000 people who are having national ID numbers, but they were not having tax identification numbers. But that's overall, when we put all of them together, people who had national ID, but they didn't have TIN, amounted to, the number was 12 million. And this one, we try classifying them into those who can pay tax, those who cannot pay. So when we look at their records, we saw that about 5,000 people are high potential individuals who have businesses and living within Ghana. I'm not talking about Greater Accra alone. They have houses in places like East Legon, the affluent areas. 5,000 people live there. We have been able to identify their telephone numbers, their house numbers, and they didn't have TIN. So we are chasing them. Then apart from that, we have about, I think, 20,000 people who are also, that is in the cities in Ghana, who also have high earning professions like doctors, lawyers, engineers, and these people are also not having TIN, and we are chasing them. But some of them, I think these people too have been able to identify their house numbers, and we have their telephone numbers, and surely we'll get to them. Their numbers have been spread to the locations that they are living, where their houses are, under our tax offices, and they are now being followed. But out of these numbers, we have people who also did not have any job, people who are in school, people who have retired, and so on. So when you look at the statistics, you will see them. But this linkage just to national ID card has been able to give us this kind of information to enable us to trace those people who are earning income in the country but were paying nothing so far. But if you look at the next table we look at first, those people we have, I think, about engineers, 22,000. We have medical professionals, we have 6,000. Financial professionals, we have 5,000. Those in computer science, we have 3,000. And then legal professionals, 7. And then executives, 14. And then others, 5,000. All this information is now in the hands of GRA. And we are pursuing them and ensuring that they all pay the taxes that is due them. Yeah, the next item that we are doing to help improve compliance in GRA is what you have heard, I think, quite recently, what we refer to as cashless policies. So far, GRA has leveraged the Ghana.gov platform to enable taxpayers fulfill their tax obligations by paying their taxes through channels like online. If you go to Ghana.gov, you can file and pay your tax online. You can also pay your taxes at the banks. So far, we are working with 23 banks. So you can go to any of these banks and pay your taxes. Or you can use the mobile money code star 222 hash mobile money code, and that area too you can pay your taxes. And then some also have another form where people use cards in paying the taxes due instead of coming to the office to issue either a check or pay physical cash. Then we are also doing online filing, which now, online filing platforms, integrated tax application and preparation system that we call ITAS, has also been launched somewhere in the second quarter. And it was launched in the second quarter 2019. And people can go there and easily pay their taxes or file their returns from there. Then the last aspect I want to talk about is the use of VAT withholding method of collecting the taxes. You know, when people pay VAT, two people are in transactions, I'm surprised somebody is also paying. Now, I need to retain the VAT, a percentage of it, and pay, so that once I pay, the person who was supposed to collect and pay the VAT on my behalf, his name and his records will easily be identified by GRA. And since we started this, it has greatly helped in identifying people who have collected VAT over the period and have refused to pay the monies to GRA. There are so many other things that GRA is trying to do in such a way that the informal sector especially will be able to dig deep into it, just like what other countries are doing, so that we can improve tax revenue. I think because of time, Honorable Minister, I will leave you here, and then if there are any questions, then we'll come. Thank you.
A few things that have hit me quite hard as you went through the presentation. Now, first, you spoke about the target that was set and how well you are doing to meet the target. Mind you, there's a difference between target and then the taxable capacity. So if we have the capacity to pay, like the OECD countries are saying, 24-25% of GDP, but because of various reasons, we are setting ourselves a target of, let's say, 15%, and we are almost meeting that target. In one breath, we can say we are doing well in meeting the target we have set for ourselves. But if you compare to taxable capacity, then it means that we have some way to go. And then it brings us to the second part, the analysis that you did. Please go to the original slides. That give a worrying picture. And colleagues, I beg of you to pay attention to these two slides. One that is not adjusted for the LTO. Correct, Doctor? Doc, this one is not adjusted for LTO. Yes, it's not adjusted for LTO. And then the second one is adjusted for LTO. And it shows the wide disparity in terms of the regions. So you can pick your region and then you can decide whether it is going on or not going on. But even more importantly, and perhaps, Doc, moving forward, maybe we'll ask you to get us some more data. If you compare contribution to GDP by region and contribution to revenue by region, we can also see in a clearer manner who has a lot of economic activity but is not contributing their quota to the national kitty. And while a lot of subjects are exciting to talk about, I think that I pray you, our colleagues, to spend some time and have your various analysts also analyze this one for us. There's a third matter that Doc raises, which for me is shocking. Go to the 12 million people who have been identified as having national ID card but are not known to the tax authorities. Go to that slide for us, the 12 million people. And when they adjust, at least in the area of professionals, about 33,000 professionals, doctors, lawyers, engineers, computer scientists, financial service providers, other executives. About 33,500 of us are engaged in economic activity. We earn incomes, but we are not paying our due. And Doc, correct me if I'm wrong, this is only those who you know because of national ID. So it is theoretically possible that there are a lot more who you don't know because they don't have national ID for you to even begin to start triangulating. Am I correct? Okay. So at least what we know is 33,500 just professionals only, doctors, lawyers, engineers, computer scientists, financial service providers, and executives. And I think it raises questions. And you've broken it down even to the specific categories that you can now engage upon. It's data that is good for us to share at this point in time. It's a good time to take your questions. And then after that, we'll move to our next brief. Question time. GH1 and Star, I see your hand up. I see Ghana News Agency. Yeah. And then also, you've explained to us the steps you are taking to ensure that you can receive from all of these persons their due. So GH1, let's start with you.
Great. Thank you very much. My name is Joshua Nana Kwameira. Doc, the income tax law passed in 2015 has a provision on the tax modification that seeks to give a proper streamline and methods to be able to collect revenue from the informal sector, because ideally from the taxes, direct taxes are common. I mean, the collection of direct taxes is much easier due to the processes involved. I'm asking this because the COVID-19 dealt a blow with both sectors, and the informal sector is the largest employer in the economy now. Where are we with the tax modification? Because GRA is supposed to implement that. Do we have that in check to be able to monitor revenue mobilization within the informal sector?
Thank you. Giade?
How are you also mobilizing revenue from the tax on the rent? I know homeowners are gaining a lot of money by charging rent advance, and they're supposed to pay 8% to government. What have you done so far to mobilize money from that source? Then the 33,500 high-earning professionals, you say you have identified them and you are chasing them. If you are chasing them, would there be, if they refuse, would there be any possible prosecution? Because for a while we have been earning high salaries, but they are not paying anything to government. Now that you have identified them, do you have any plans of prosecuting them if they fail to do so? Thank you.
Thank you. Are there other questions, colleagues? Yes, Nana?
Yeah, good afternoon, Honorable Minister.
Go ahead.
Doc, one major problem is leakages. There's a well-known fact that people who are normally going to collect the taxes do their own thing on the field. So what are you going to do as it were to plug the hole so that all the revenue will come to the agency? Because it's a big problem all over the country. And then people are complaining that they are having difficulty at the ports with the GRA officials and some national security operatives. Recently, went to a workshop, and it came out that after having paid all your duties at the port, people chase you sometimes in the middle of the road, and then they try to offload your distance to reassess it. I don't know if you are aware. What are you doing to that thing? Because it created a lot of nuisance for the traders. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there other questions? Bloomberg, do you have a question? Okay, quickly.
Thank you very much. I would love to know how far we've come with our targets, what percentage we are meeting by the middle of the year, and whether or not we are on course to achieve that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm going to take responses to this first set, and then I'll come back. I think the question from Bloomberg, it was right at the beginning of the presentation, about 90-something% on target already. But the question really is the target your taxable capacity, or what's the gap between your taxable capacity and your target? So, Doc, over to you.
But as I introduce myself, I'm the head of the GRA session that's been doing research, having the revenue forecasting for the budget, and doing strategies and all other things, policies. For the potential tax revenue of Ghana, we know the targets that we are setting is not the potential that we have. We did an estimation with the help of HMRC, that is with our